Welcome back, traders. The GameStop earnings conference calls today, Tuesday, March 23rd, when the markets close. And it is also at a critical intersection on the charts. We're going to begin with the AMC chart today, though. From a long-term perspective, it is a weekly chart. It's as simplistic as I can show it. There's hardly any lines here that have drawn. There are two resistance lines that have been there previously, and the price has sold off from there. It's been rejected. Off this resistance, it's hard to identify any sort of recognizable resistance there through the candle bars on the weekly chart. On the daily chart, it's coming directly from this price action on the breakout. This candle, this indecision candle from way back. And now that price has fallen below here, it could look more bullish in the short term. This is the dip scenario we've been discussing. The question is, where will it bounce? How low will it go? And there's a nice wick coming through on the daily candle from Monday. So there are buyers stepping in still at these prices, $12 and up. And you can see exactly why it was so risky to enter after a high run up from this $8 point. That one impulse was 90% to the green. So we have seen some profit taking from there. It's down almost 20% from that local high. That's a target, and it's coming from the closing of this gap. So this bottom line is closing the gap from the breakout, this gap back here. And the price is currently below that line. AMC is still very bullish right now overall, especially in the midterm time frames, because going into the 2 hour does appear to be bouncing currently, but it may have some struggles here climbing higher right now. And the reason being is this is not specific to AMC. This downwards pattern over the past week or so, sideways and then some down, that's happening across the markets pretty much. A lot of the bigger indexes and whatnot are also somewhat bearish right now, so that is still a strong possibility at the moment that we will see an extension of this dip to an even lower price, just so you know. However, from the bullish perspective, now I've only talked about this lower long-term support in this video today, and interestingly enough, I can make another one now, and it doesn't stop here. So your first reaction, or I should say any trader's first reaction, might be to place a support line, trend line like so, based upon these wicks right here and some of these candle closes. So at first glance, that appears like a smart place to put it. At second glance, I can actually move it more about here, and it lines up perfectly with where the price is sitting right now. I like this trend line right now, even though there were some breaks below it, it's still a trend line heading in that direction, and it is above that, potentially finding support going higher here. Almost all of the theaters are reopened now for AMC. And another fascinating bullish signal here, because we had our gigantic wedge, the magic triangle on AMC from way back, the breakout. I'm gonna redraw it here. Super simplistic chart. All the way down here like so. This was the wedge forming, and then it broke out. So not only that, we already knew that weeks ago. Remember with the GME chart now, I was able to create a double wedge, a gigantic wedge within the first wedge by copying and pasting this trend line and keeping it parallel. I simply moved it higher on GameStop, and it actually lined up quite nicely. Doing that on AMC, it can't actually be done. Amazingly enough, I can't place this trend line here and call it another breakout because it doesn't align with anything up here. GameStop had price action up at that point. So there's only one wedge at play here with AMC still. It's this wedge way back. It broke out, and it's only about halfway to the target, to the long-term target. It's difficult to put a time frame on that. Even if it were to follow the lowest support line, on somewhat of a bull run over an extended period of time before potentially even higher moves, okay? Even if it were to do that, we're talking July 1st, roughly, early July 2021. It's not that far away. It's a matter of months, not years. Note all this, all the brutal action that had occurred on AMC over the past couple years. I would not have wanted to be trading AMC during all this. Now it's moving much quicker, so let's hop over to the daily, the day trading chart. Denwo was live streaming for 4 hours this morning, so a little tired today. Gonna keep it kind of short here, so let's just check out some of the indicators and a couple of our patterns. I did want to point out in relation to the earnings report as well about AMC. So to begin, the RSI here, well, this green projection was accurate. It's not relevant anymore. The RSI already made it up to this higher area, hence the sell-off, profit taking, and is currently returning to oversold levels. Also, if I extend this trend line, it does appear to be a retest of this trend line from way back. I think we had discussed that as a possibility at one point, and I see it right here, right now. It's looking like a bounce from there in the 1 hour RSI. On the higher time frames, it's even more oversold. The lower this purple line is, essentially a better value it has appeared as. Okay. And the last time it was that low was pretty far back. So the last time the RSI was down at the 15 level. I'm not sure I even want to include this part, but that's February, early February. And before that, we're talking December 2020. So it hasn't been this low on the RSI in a while. And it did return higher from that point currently. Things still look bullish on the indicators right now after that dip. This is the MACD, but I lost it. I'm not going to fumble around with it right now, guys. So the important part is the MACD on GameStop. Now, here is a mini wedge on AMC. And this is back starting March 10th. You know, it was March 10th. AMC earnings conference call. The same exact scenario that's happening to GameStop this afternoon when the market's closed. And this is exactly where it happened. So people bought up AMC. They bought up the rumor about well, it was news at that point, right? Everyone knew about the earnings, so people were bullish on AMC going into the earnings. When the earnings dropped, so did the price. It did continue thereafter, but it did take a little bit of time there. It saw a significant dip, down about 25% at the very top. 25% red. So now I can talk about GME because that was kind of some preparation. These charts are still behaving similarly in certain ways and not in other ways. And here's the GameStop wedge in the most simplistic form possible. It's got a long way that it could fall. We don't have any kind of bullish confirmation yet. It hasn't broken out. It hasn't put in any kind of an uptrend. It's just been red after red, day after day. And until that changes, until something changes here, I'm going to remain bearish on GameStop while it's within this gigantic wedge. It's tough to say because of the earnings, just how far it'll fall. And perhaps this whole run up was in relation to the earnings. Now that that's occurred, the news has been sold. GameStop is moving extremely fast. So there's a chance the news has been sold already. It could go sideways here and then break out. It's not over just yet for GME. All I'm trying to say is the trend is still downwards at the moment. Here's the double wedge with GME. This doesn't align with AMC's wedge because see up here, the price action did actually reach the top of that outer wedge. So this is completely valid. This is a very valid, accurate pattern so far. It did indeed predict a nice short scalp opportunity there. a whole 40% to the red. So that is a big move down from that local high. And it is possible, since it is so bullish in general, all the hype around it, it is possible it could start putting in some support soon. Something like that. And that will take further analysis as time develops. So make sure to tune in tomorrow for more GME and AMC updates. And here's the earnings on the chart, so everyone knows about it. I'll tell you right now that I'm not expecting a gigantic breakout the day of the earnings. It's possible, but it has a lot of resistance here to get through still. This trend line is strong resistance, and it may get rejected. So GameStop is one to keep an eye on. And to wrap it up with the indicators, well, let me point out the buy box once more. This is our day trading chart. It continues to fall below these support lines. This blue trend line was a support line. It's now a resistance. I'm going to make it red. The candle closed below there. It's still within this channel that we were watching, the dashed gold lines. Like I said, we'll have to see over the next week or two, or potentially 3 or 4. It may take a little time here for a real signal going into the future, a real confirmation that the price has extended far beyond this wedge that's broken out. So until GME returns to roughly $230 higher, let's call it 235, that's what it looks like on the chart. And the RSI does have room to fall as well. So remember, for AMC, the RSI, it did retest this trend line, AMC's RSI trend line. So cool. In the first red bar on the MACD, the first red daily MACD bar, bearish momentum, GameStop indicator. That's why we like to stay one step ahead of the markets. Appreciate you tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. Happy trading.